In the attaché case is a gun and 100 rounds of ammunition. All untraceable. All yours to do with as you see fit.
If you could get away with murder, would you? On June 11th, 2003, Acclaim announced that it had obtained the rights to create a video game based on DC Comics' 100 Bullet series. They were quoted as saying that they will challenge players to think before they shoot, and allow them to explore the moral implications of their actions. While I am not familiar with 100 Bullets, so I apologize if my details are a bit off, the general gist of the story is as follows, according to Wikipedia anyway. Would you be willing to act on the desire of violent revenge if you were given the means, the opportunity, and a reasonable chance to succeed? Agent Graves gave victims a chance, providing a handgun, 100 bullets, and the target who was responsible for their pain. The bullets are untraceable, and as soon as they are found at a crime scene, the police stop their investigation. Cole Burns, first seen in issue number 9, is one of 7 men, plus an agent, who make up a group called the Minutemen. This group policed the Trust, which were essentially rich, powerful, and very corrupt families. He was the first to be shown reactivated in the comics, and was shown to be fiercely loyal to the Minutemen's leader, Agent Graves. Without spoiling anything for those who haven't read it, including myself, things seem to get a bit complicated along the way. Cole was to be one of 2 playable characters in the 100 Bullets game, the second of which we'll talk about very shortly. Acclaim Studios Austin, located in Austin, Texas, was chosen to work on the game. The team was perhaps best known for their work on the Turok series. The press got their first look at 100 Bullets in January of 2004, after Acclaim reportedly spent 6 months working on the game. The game would feature Max Payne-style shooting, minus the slow-motion dives, instead featuring a new mechanic that would be revealed at E3 2004. It was not all that unsimilar to Acclaim's other title, Interview with a Made Man, which, as it turns out, also had a troubled development history. In addition to the lore of the comic books, Acclaim chose to have Brian Azzarello, the creator of 100 Bullets, create a new female character named Snow Falls. Design documents indicate that Snow is from the streets of New York City. She lost her mother at an early age and never even met her father. Snow is a very accomplished street fighter turned kickboxer who may one day turn pro. She even lives in a local gym. Things are starting to turn around for Snow until a visit from Agent Graves turns her life upside down. The plot itself was designed especially for the game, despite borrowing from the original comic book. Sadly, much of the story content was yet to be finished and implemented in the builds I have access to, so it's a bit difficult to fill in some of the blanks. The goal was plainly stated, though, as the player must play the parts of these 2 Minutemen as they reawaken to their former selves and take their revenge against the Trust, who needs them dead. While 100 Bullets is primarily a third-person action game, the developers did look into mixing things up a little bit with some puzzle solving, some stealth sections, and of course some simple mini-games. As you might expect after only 6 months of development, the build the press was shown was still a bit rough around the corners, and was estimated to be about 50 to 60% complete. Despite this, journalists noted that it was very faithful to the comic itself. This showing of the game did leave more questions than answers, but the press seemed to be looking forward to E3 2004, where more of the game was to be shown, and of course to the final release, now scheduled for October of 2004. But prior to E3, the press got one more look at 100 Bullets in March of 2004. This version stepped up the detail and showed more of the interactive elements in the environment with Cole Burns as a playable character. The level described in the articles, with a streetlight falling and cars running out of control, is the one you see being played here in the background. Acclaim was promising 2 playable characters with over 24 scenes, somewhat indicating the amount of content that could have been expected in the final product. E3 2004 brought the reveal of a new gameplay mechanic. Players have a rage meter which builds as more enemies are killed, and when it fills up, the player can slow time and damage all of the enemies with a push of a button. Graphics were much improved as of E3, with many of the rough edges cleaned up and polished, leaving the press to want more. But things wouldn't go quite as planned. In early July of 2004, Acclaim released their earnings for the previous financial year, reporting a net loss of $56.4 million, with revenues down over $67.4 million. While somehow better than some previous years, this was likely offset by the raising of $15 million and a loan of $5 million. While Acclaim hoped to find new lenders, it had reached no agreements despite a somewhat promising lineup that included titles such as 100 Bullets. Despite the bad news, the developers pressed onwards, showing the game to the press one more time in late July 2004. Articles around this time mention a few more details. Again mentioning that they were being shown the streets level one more time, but also mentioning that the same Snowfalls level was being shown as well. This wasn't mentioned in the previous articles, so it's curious to see that they had mentioned seeing it already. The rage mechanic had undergone some changes, with the player now being required to target the individual enemies to cause damage. While the levels were the same, the additional polish was appreciated as they inched towards that October release date. Unfortunately, just over a month later, it all came to a screeching halt. At the end of August 2004, Acclaim shuttered its New York office, along with the Texas office that was working on 100 Bullets. Some employees were offered severance packages, while others were told to get their stuff and get out, unpaid for their recent work. Some hope was held on to, as Acclaim had yet to indicate that it would be filing for bankruptcy, but just days later, on September 1st, 2004, Acclaim filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in the United States. While some titles, such as Made Man, got picked up and released in limited markets and on limited platforms, 100 Bullets was left to rot. Very little footage has survived over the years, as it would seem that very little was actually recorded in 2004. As always, that's about to change. Enjoy a few minutes of 100 Bullets footage from levels that were essentially unseen in the past, even to the press. Do keep in mind that it is unknown exactly how far along the game actually was. This build is from August 2004, so it's probably one of the last that they made. It may have made the October 2004 release date, but we may never know for sure. Oh, fuck!
What's up, bitch? What the fuck? Yeah, Chicky, you late for party. What's that for?
You killed my mother.
Tell you what, you drop gun and blow me to the moon, I won't have snipers cut your ass to ribbons. Deal? You decide. I count to 3. 1, 2, 2.5, 3.
As I mentioned earlier, very few of the cutscenes are even in storyboard form in the game, let alone finished, so it's kind of hard to see how the story would have developed and what exactly would have happened to both Colburns and Snowfalls. I've reached out to some developers who I think have worked on this project, but I haven't heard back as of the time I'm making this video. That about wraps up this first video on 100 Bullets. You can expect more coverage with extended footage from both the earlier build along with the August 2004 build. Hit that subscribe button and do remember to check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/p2ponline. Special thanks go to Master Chief 461, our newest Patreon supporter. Until next time, thanks for watching.